And a lot of people want it to be easy and pain-free. But my thing is that if it was easy and pain-free, everybody would be sober. Everybody would go through detoxing and not rely on these drugs.
Everybody would get high because they're not afraid of them.
Exactly.
They're not afraid of the detox.
Welcome, everybody, to the Not For Nothing podcast, hosted by the dynamic duo Christopher Michael and Ashley Mayland, where they delve into life, love, relationships, and personal growth. Be sure to tune in every week for a refreshing take on life's most important lessons.
So we're back with Sley. What's up, Sley?
Hi, Chris. How are you?
What's going on?
Nothing much.
So, thank you for coming on, by the way. It's great to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here. An honor, actually.
Yeah, you've been watching for a little while now,
I
right?
have, actually, since the beginning, almost.
So what do you think about the show?
I like it.
No pressure.
No pressure. Like, I'm going to be honest. I'm not too much of a podcast girly.
Right.
So I just do my little 1-minute videos, and then that's my enjoyment. I do like your topics. You guys talk about a lot of serious stuff. My favorite one was, oh man, I forget her name, but she talked about the domestic abuse that she suffered with her ex-husband.
Sarah.
I think it was Sarah. Yeah. And that was kind of wow, because I know that's the reality of a lot of women.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in it through my father and everything.
Okay.
I have friends who've gone through it. It's a very, unfortunately, common thing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like an epidemic of men raising their hands to women these days. It's pretty wild. Not that they haven't in the past, but I just feel like...
honest with you, I wouldn't say it's an epidemic now. I think now we have cameras and we have social media, so everybody hears about it because...
Sees it more,
yeah,
right.
For sure. Because a lot of stuff is not new. We're just seeing it now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, look at Puff Daddy.
You call him Puff Daddy?
Yeah,
oh my
Diddy.
God.
He did.
Tell us your age without telling us your age.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. I've been doing that a lot lately, actually.
Oh my God. No, yeah.
But yeah, I just turned 41, so I might as well start showing it a little bit more.
41?
Yeah.
You look good for 41.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully I look this way forever.
Right? Oh my God. What do we want that? That'd be amazing.
Yeah, if I get aged like Benjamin Button, I'd be happy.
Age backwards?
Yeah, age backwards. That's it.
You gotta get some more biotin, and like, what else? Just tea. Healthiness.
All my girlfriends are trying to tell me I need to start like doing a skincare routine.
Yeah.
And
I need to get a
prevent the
skincare
wrinkles.
routine.
Huh?
I need to get a skincare routine. I don't have one.
Oh, you have great skin though.
Thanks.
Hey,
Oh my God,
about it.
sorry. I make faces.
It's all right. Go for it. I work in the sun all day, every day, so it's horrible.
You gotta do sunscreen, dude. Skincare is a real thing.
I do. If I didn't, I'd be a lot tanner. So I do. I forget to do it a lot of the time, though, to be honest, because it's kind of a pain in the ass. Not to mention, when you're working in the sun, sweating constantly, you feel it. You know, like it just drips off of you.
You want to sweat now or have cancer later?
Say that again.
You want to sweat now or have cancer later?
I'll take cancer later. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, you're right. I need to. I am pretty conscious of it. But yeah, I got guys that work in long sleeve shirts and shit. And I don't know how they do it.
More power to them, because I personally could not do that at all.
There's no way.
To be completely honest.
They're nuts. I don't know how they do it. I've been doing the business for a long time. I still don't understand how they do it.
I mean, couldn't do it. This Florida humidity, I could not.
Oh, it's brutal. But they do it. They get through it. Yeah, it's great for them. But not for me. If I could wear shorts and a t-shirt every day, I would.
Yeah?
It's just fucking brutal out here.
Yeah,
the humidity. It
Where
smacks you in the face.
Originally?
New York.
So it's a little cooler up there.
Yeah, and I'm used to the seasons, you know, so I'm not in it constantly. I mean, I'm used to this now. I acclimated to it, obviously, over the years. And I don't miss the seasons. I actually love warm weather all year round.
Yeah.
But it's the humidity that I can live without, for sure.
The humidity definitely kills, 100%. I recently went on a road trip to the West Coast. It was me and my friends. We did California, Oregon, and Washington.
Oh, very cool.
And I could do that weather all year long if I could. If that was possible, that'd be the best weather for me.
What was it like?
It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Like, there's still sun and everything.
Right.
And you can get hot, but like the wind is colder. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, near the ocean.
Yes, there's more of a breeze.
More of a breeze, and it's a cooler breeze. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because here there's a swamp. So everything's just humid, even if it is a cool breeze.
It's sticky. Yeah, even by the water, it's humid. The breeze helps, though. It does. Like, I live by the intercoastal now, and every night I feel the breeze coming off the water. And I love it. Okay. But the humidity in the morning sometimes is just horrendous.
Killer.
Yeah, it's brutal.
My God.
So, while I might be used to it, I still hate it.
Yeah, nobody likes it here.
But are you from Florida, born and raised?
No, not originally. So originally I was born in Haiti, and I came here just before I turned 9. I've been here for 17-ish years. I can't do math. I'm 25.
Okay. Wow, you're young.
Yes, I'm 25. I've been in Florida all of my American life, I should say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a Broward baby.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Do you go back to visit Haiti?
Haiti, no. So I can't. Right now, I'm not sure if you're aware of the political climate over there.
I'm not.
No. It's very dangerous. Very hostile, I should say. There's a lot of gangs overtaken where I'm from personally. I'm from the capital, Port-au-Prince.
Okay.
Other parts of Haiti is not as bad, but it's still bad because the whole government is just like in disarray. My sister and brother are still there.
Okay.
I have actually most of my family is still there. I only have like my aunt here, really.
So are your parents still over there?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, my parents are here too.
Okay.
Yes, my parents are here, but like everybody, like all the lineage or whatever is still in Haiti, and I do want to go back. But that's not something that's possible for me right now, especially since I've been away for so long. There's this thing called inconnu, which means like not known. And if somebody doesn't recognize you in the neighborhood, like especially where I'm from, you get right away.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that crazy?
Yes, it's that dangerous. I've had to move my family actually from where I grew up at to different areas that are less dangerous.
Okay.
I've lost family members, unfortunately, to the gang violence. I've lost a lot, but through it, like I'm very like strong. I'm supporting everybody over there, sending money back home and making sure that they're okay as much as it can be. But it's a very dangerous place right now, and I wish I could go back home. It kind of breaks my heart that I can't go back home right now, especially right now because I have the means.
Right.
But it's not something that I could do.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 siblings, 2 brothers and 1 sister.
Where do you fall in that line?
I am the oldest.
You're the oldest?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am the 3rd parent, 2nd mom.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know what? I love it. My little brother, my baby brother, he's my firstborn.
Right.
I cut his umbilical cord, named him, and that's my baby.
How old is he?
He's 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, he's in Haiti?
No, he's here.
Oh, he's here. Okay. I'm
the
sorry.
youngest one is here. No, I didn't explain. My apologies. So my brother, my second brother, and my sister are in Haiti, and then the baby brother is here because he was born here.
Okay.
So yeah, that makes sense.
Now, how old's the youngest brother in Haiti?
Yeah, he is. I want to say 18 or 19. 2005.
Do you worry about him getting caught up in like the...
I do. So he was one of the first people we actually had to move because of the gang violence, because he's a young man, he's strong or whatever. So they recruit. And if you say no, they kill you.
Wow.
He's actually not got caught up, but our house over there got broken into.
Right.
And thankfully he wasn't home. And that kind of started the spiraling of moving out of the area. Mind you, my family has been there for years. Like absolutely like years. Like our generation over there is like, they know our name, like by our last name.
Right.
Like they know like that's where they're from, right? And having to leave that area, especially like where my grandma's from, which is kind of up in the mountains, because they burned down her house. So we had to leave that area. And that was honestly like just so crazy. We literally had to escape for our lives. My sister, her husband, he got caught up like on a held up. Like he got held up with a gun or whatever. We own a boutique over there. So while he was leaving the work or the job, I should say, he got caught up and they're like, oh, give us all your money, give us everything. And I think God, I really strongly believe in God. I think God was there that day because they let him walk away.
Wow.
And they don't usually let people walk away.
And that's not the norm.
That's not the norm.
Right.
And yeah, after that, we kind of just had to skedaddle. Like we couldn't.
Well, it's great that you have the means to help them get out of that area.
Yeah, a lot of overtime, but there's a will, there's a way, and I'd rather pay for them to get away than a funeral.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's crazy how people take for granted everything that they have here, and they don't realize how much more like worse it could be somewhere else.
I've had to have some conversations with some friends before about it. Just because it's like my reality is not everybody's reality. And it's kind of surreal how they do take some things for granted, you know? And it's like, dude, you haven't made, here's not the best, but you are not there. So
right. It's like you don't even know, right?
Yeah.
People think they have it bad, but they don't realize.
Yeah, they don't realize it. But everybody's struggle is real.
I'm not for sure.
Diminish anything. So you're having a struggle. That's, like you're going through it. That's you. But other people are also going through it. Not diminishing what you're going through,
Right.
but there's other
it's all
stuff happening
perspective.
too. Perspective wise.
Bad for somebody, for one person, it's not necessarily bad for the other.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it depends what you've been through and where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the more you go through in your life, the more perspective you have, right? Because then you realize things could be far worse.
100%.
You know what I mean? So you don't think,
up, I realized that.
Yeah. So when people say, "Oh, I'm having a hard time," it's bad. You already, even if you don't say, well, it could be a lot worse.
It could be.
I've been there. It could be far worse than what you're going through.
Yes.
But yeah, for some reason, people have a hard time understanding that. I feel like.
Yeah. You just have to kind of educate. Yeah. Because a lot of ignorance comes from literally being ignorant and not knowing what's going on. Oh. So like, when you just tell them, hey, this is actually what's up, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I guess I say ignorance is bliss.
Yes. I wish I was. Can't live life that way.
So you have a boutique over there?
Well, not anymore, because that's what we used to. Like, it was like, I call it boutique because that's like the name of it in French, but like, it's like, think of a corner store. Okay. It was a corner store. Yeah.
So now what do they do now that you don't have that anymore? What does everybody do?
We don't do much, really. There's not much work over there. Okay. So really it's me, my mom sending money back and everything, trying to support, making sure they have like, their food, able to pay for whatever they need to buy, and just helping them survive as much as they can. I'm hoping they can be here soon with this program that Biden did, but just waiting.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be really great.
So how quickly do you think that you could get them over here, potentially, if everything worked out?
Dude, immigration is crazy. Yeah. So I've already actually been waiting for a year and like 9 months for both of them. I filed last year, like literally January of last year, and we're still waiting.
Crazy how slow it is.
It is pretty slow. My brother got accepted in May, but they recently just stopped like everything. So whether you got accepted or not, whether you just applied or not, they're not making decisions about you coming. So they're doing some investigation, which is just like, woe is me. It had to happen during my time. But it's okay. I just got to have patience, got to pray. That's it.
Well, hopefully it all works out.
Hopefully. I'm really hoping by the end of the year, at least my brother could be here. Because he's already been accepted. But I can only hope, can only pray for it.
Well, be in my prayers.
Thank
Seriously,
you.
I really do. I hope it happens quick for you.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be nice. My mom would really love it to be reunited with all her kids. I know like she's the one that is like, that's been her thing for years. Like she just wants her family together.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, a mother not having her kids must be near devastating for her. Yeah.
She's gone through a lot. I commend her. I take a lot of my hardworkingness from her. Okay. Like, ever since I was younger, she's always been like doing like CNA work or restaurant work or anything like that. And then like with her doing CNA work, that's actually, well, my backstory with being a nurse. I'm a nurse.
Right, you're an LPN.
Yes, I have been an LPN for just under, 2 years, 2.5 years or so. So just under 3 years, actually.
So what's your specialty in being an LPN?
So currently I'm working in detox. I work in rehabs, like detoxing when you're just getting off the substances. Then I also do where you're doing residential and PHP. So there's different levels to rehab. The first is detox, then residential, then PHP, then IOP. Right. You can get more after that, but like these are the 4 main levels that at least I'm aware of.
Right. So you do like a 7-day detox, inpatient, outpatient.
Yes. Some people are longer depending how bad their withdrawal is. Or how many substances they're using, like based on their story. Everybody is very individual.
For sure.
It's not one shot, like one thing for everybody. Not at all. Because, people abuse opiates, benzos, alcohol, methamphetamines, all of it. And they all require different kind of care. Yeah.
So what's the most that you see though? Opiates, I would imagine, probably.
No, actually. So the most I see is alcohol and benzos.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. Because
alcohol, I get that.
Alcohol I feel like would be the most common because, it's like readily available. You don't need a doctor's prescription for it or anything. Right. But then with benzos, a lot of people are anxious, right? Yeah. So they do like Xanax, like.
Klonopin would definitely be one, I think. Oh, clozapam.
Yeah, that's Klonopin. Right. Just a whole bunch of different benzos to help them kind of be normal, smooth, like just equal.
Right.
So
brings them to baseline.
Basically. And then they kind of start relying on it, and then they need more, they need more, they need more. And then they end up with me.
Yeah, it's tough. It gets your hooks in you without you even realizing
it. Really does. You
Yeah.
start relying on it. You start being like, oh, I need to feel normal. I need to feel okay. And then you kind of grab it or whatever. And I can't really judge anybody for how they got into it because, everybody copes differently.
Right.
But definitely, like, I commend everybody for coming to detox and kind of being vulnerable with us, nursing, therapy, like everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a big step to get yourself into detox.
It really is. That's the biggest step. A lot of people, last night, actually, I worked. One person came, he didn't stay. He wasn't ready. He was not ready.
You have to want to stop.
You have to want to stop. It has to be you, because if it's not you, if it's somebody in your ear, if it's you're doing it for a loved one, whatever, at the end of the day, it has to be about you, about wanting to stop, because you're you. You're not going to keep going for somebody else if you want to do something else. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It won't be as productive. You have to do it for you. You have to be ready. If you're not ready, it's okay. But, we're here for you.
Right.
Just come whenever you're ready. We'd rather it sooner than later. We don't want anything to happen to you. But definitely, you have to be ready to come.
Yeah, no, if you do it for somebody else, you're going to relapse.
Yeah.
Because you're forcing yourself to do something you really don't want to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the chances are, you're going to be sneaky about it, or you're going to find an excuse to do it. And now, instead of being open about it, you're just going to lie about it, right? And you're going to do it on the sneak.
People with substance abuse are some of the smartest, I don't want to say conniving, but like conniving people.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
they're manipulators to the 10th degree. Yeah.
But some people are just very smart.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is we had a patient. So at one facility, they were allowed to have Netflix. So we had a patient logged into their Netflix. Their profile name was whatever thing that they wanted.
Right.
And then their dealer back home would log in and see it, drop it off on, around the area, and then like if somebody wasn't looking, they'd like take it or something.
Right.
So after that, Netflix was banned at the facility.
Oh,
but
sure.
that's like, who would think of that?
Yeah.
I definitely would not have thought of that.
Oh, forget about it. Because they start running through their head scenarios that they could potentially get away with.
100%. And I'm just like, why don't you use that for something else?
I know.
A lot of these people are like secret, like science engineers or whatever. And I'm just like, dude.
Isn't it crazy? Like, and you think if you applied that to anything else in your life, you'd be very successful.
You'd be so successful that you could own this place. But I get it. You're dependent. You need this to feel better or to feel normal. So I'm just like, all right, let's figure this one out, and then maybe we can delve into,
Yeah, for sure. I think what a lot of people miss is that, honestly, it's not a lot of the time, in my opinion, is that people do it for maintenance eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to, because you feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
So their worst fear, really, I mean, aside from just not being able to get high, is just the sickness of it all.
Yes. A lot of people are scared of the withdrawal.
Oh,
the pain,
for sure.
Everything that you're going to feel. And a lot of people want it to be easy and pain-free. But my thing is that if it was easy and pain-free, everybody would be sober. Everybody would go through detoxing and not rely on these drugs.
Everybody would get high because they're not afraid of the
exactly.
They're not afraid of the detoxing,
right? But you shouldn't live your life that way. It's okay to go through some things, because I feel like it'll teach you, like you'll learn from it, and you'll realize that this is not what I want.
Right.
Because I've had a lot of people who was one and done. They hated this. They never want to go through it again. I've never seen them again. And I've had a lot of people where I see them more than my own family. And that's okay. That's okay, because you have to keep trying. I don't care if it took you 1 time, 5 times, 10 times, 30 times. I've had that. And the moment you're ready, and let's do this. We're going to be here for you every single time.
Yeah, eventually it'll click. And you never know. It could be even, every time that they're in there, it's just one time they're not using, because that could have been the week that they overdosed. I mean, when they were trying to get clean.
Yes, I've unfortunately lost a lot of people that way, patients and coworkers alike, because I think in detox, we try to hire a lot of people in recovery so that people who do come can relate to somebody. Because like, let's say you're talking to me, I've never done anything like crazy or anything, just your basic alcohol or whatever, but you're coming off of, I don't even know, meth, or you're coming off of opiates, or you're coming off of whatever. I don't know what you're going through. I've never gone through what you're going through. I can't technically relate. I can have empathy for you.
Right.
But I don't know what this feels, skin crawling, whatever. I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But my coworker who's been through it, is however long sober, can definitely relate to you and be like, hey, you're going to get through this. This is what happens next usually, or whatever. Or like, we could really, like shoot a story or whatever. And it's like, I'm not alone. People have gone through this before. I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think sometimes, depending on who it is, sometimes when you can relate too much, it works against you. I feel like because what happens is you could find yourself in a position where you're enabling somebody.
True.
Because you feel or know what they're going through.
Yeah.
So you start to kind of cater to it a little bit.
I get you.
In a professional setting, you probably wouldn't see that as much.
No.
But I feel like, when you're around people and friends, family, whatever it is, those people are just going to overly sympathize with you. And you really need someone that's just going to kind of be like, listen.
It has to be tough love.
It has to be tough love.
It does.
Like, it doesn't matter. To me, I don't care really what you feel. You need to stop. Like, that's it. I'm sorry. You have to sometimes because otherwise people just won't.
That's true.
If they don't feel like, that's why we have interventions. Sometimes enough is enough. And they have to know and hear it from their loved ones because like someone like me, the toughest part for me was my family, right? It was like the lying to them constantly.
Yeah.
And I'm very close with my mother. So lying to her was really hard for me. And in the end, she's the one that I wound up becoming clean to. Now I didn't need her to do an intervention. Eventually I got so beaten down by it and I felt so horrible in the end that I wound up just kind of doing it my own volition. And luckily I was able to do it once and stop once I did it.
That's so great. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate
really am.
that.
Everybody that I come to know and I hear that they're in recovery, whether it's a week, 6 months or a year or more, I am so proud of them because I know that the hold that whatever substance they had probably had on them for them to have that stronger willpower to be like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I am so proud of you.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, listen, I wish everybody would have those moments where you just get so beaten down by something. You can't do it anymore. Because it's enough to make you want to stop, but I feel like a lot of people they don't get to that place, unfortunately, at least not the first time around.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but it's tough. There's so many things that keep you doing it. One, there's a big stigma around it.
Yes.
Right. There's a lot of judgment. So you hide it forever. You never want to come clean about it. You're always being deceitful about it. And it's hard to get clean when you're lying about it, because you don't want to come forward about it. So that's the first hurdle you have to get over.
100%.
And then the next one is just not being afraid of going through the treatment. It's fear of what am I going to be like without it?
I know. Some people don't know themselves. Some people are completely different. Especially if they've been using for years or whatever, they don't even know what their actual personality is.
No.
You get what I mean? Like, because they're so used to being under the influence, being either too up or too down or whatever, and they're not used to being them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the thing is, and then some people feel like they're just better on it. Like they're more social in settings. Maybe they had social anxiety, and when they're on it, they can socialize better with people. Maybe they had just crazy anxiety that kept them down. And when they're using, they don't feel anxious.
Yeah.
So you have all of those things that kind of pile on and they become excuses to continue using. But yeah, the fear of getting through that and seeing how you're going to be without it is tough.
Yeah.
Especially if you're someone that's functional on it. And I say functional very loosely.
Yes,
obviously.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But the reality of it is, like, I was extremely functional on it. Like now, were there things that suffered? There are things that suffered. But at the end of the day, I was able to continue doing what I did as long as I did because I really never hit bottom the way some people do.
I get you.
And it's because I was always driven by certain things. And fortunately for me, none of those things ever suffered from it. So what really suffered for me, like I was saying, is like my friends, my family, relationships like that. But everything else was fine, So like work, business, all of that
was fine.
So it's hard because what was happening for me was I was just terrified of whether or not I was going to be able to operate at the same level. How was I going to do? How is my business going to do? Can I take the time off to recover? So all of those things just constantly kept me in that cycle until I finally was just like, enough is enough. But what people don't realize is it's very hard to overcome those thoughts.
It really is. Everybody that comes to the door, I commend them. I am like very happy to see them. A lot of people have shame and I'm just like, do not be ashamed to be here. Don't worry. Like, this is exactly what we're here for. How dare we judge you? We're trying to help you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like being done with it and finally coming to terms with it, that is strong. A lot of people don't have that. And when they can stick it out, definitely.
Do you attribute being functional to one, your personality, or to like the type of substance that you were using, or like what do you think it was like?
My personality, probably. I'm a little OCD. I'm neurotic in certain ways, and I was always always a go-getter. So I was never lazy. I was always striving to do something with my life. And those things just never got muffled by it. So if anything, what it did was, because I struggled with other things mentally, for me, it kind of quieted everything else. So all the noise was kind of muffled. You know what I mean? And it gave me the ability to focus more on certain things. And usually they were things that helped me succeed in life. But like I said, that's not to glorify it at all. No. You're still struggling, you know, because you're avoiding the real issues.
Yeah, you're not dealing with you, right?
Yeah, you're avoiding the real issues. You're not helping yourself mentally, and whatever the problems are that are keeping you using, you're kind of, you know, you're setting them aside, you know, and you're kind of, you know, you're doing it in the name of saying like, well, everything else is going great, so I'm just gonna ignore this for as long as I can, and it's really not good. And the things that suffer the most when you're functioning that way is like friends, family, you know, things like that.
Definitely
relationships, yeah, because what happens is you ignore them, right? You're so focused on everything else. You're hyper focused on everything else. And because it's working for you, you just tend to cast everything else aside, you know? And unfortunately, you don't realize that you're hurting those relationships till it's too late. So, you know, when I say functional, I just mean basically that you're not hitting rock bottom, right? You're not financially struggling. You're not, you know, you're not killing someone in a car accident. You're not doing these crazy things. And that's the other part of it, is that some people, even users, they don't have not everyone has the hardest time setting certain boundaries or lines that they're not willing to cross.
Boundaries is a big thing with detoxing, because a lot of people, they're not used to hearing no.
Right.
A lot of people are not used to hearing no when it comes to whatever substance they're using or stuff to make them feel better.
Yeah.
So when they come in and they're like, oh, I need more Valium, I need more Subutex, I need more of that. You don't. No, you don't. Right. You need to get over this. Yeah. The end point of this is for you to be without drugs.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, like, granted, like, there's other things that you might need medication for, sure, to help you be normal, but you don't need a narcotic.
No.
You don't. It is mental. A lot of this recovery is very mental. Your mind has a lot to do with how you feel. Like, sure, you could have a cut and that hurts, but your mind can amplify that pain when it's not really that painful, but you're so used to something and you want something, us giving you that boundary, like, no, this is what you need, but this is what you want, and that's not going to work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So boundaries is like a very tough thing. A lot of people leave because they're not used to having a boundary.
Yeah.
A lot of people, at least I know on the therapy side, like the clinical side, boundaries have to be set on the outside with the families and the friends, because somebody doesn't want to stay here and they're like, yeah, my mom will let me back home. No, mom has to set that boundary. No, you're not coming back home until you're doing this. Or wife, I'm not coming back home. Or husband, you're not coming back home. You're not doing this until you do this. And they have a hard time with that. But as the days go on, as the weeks go on, they get more comfortable with it because they realize that the boundaries is not meant to hurt them.
Right.
It's not.
For sure.
It's meant for them to have kind of more of a stability or to just be able to be accountable for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It gives them structure.
Yes.
At least you hope that it does.
Yes, that's the hope. You know, a lot of this we're very hopeful for you to be better on the other end, but it's you got to do the hard work. You know, we can present to you the resources, talk to you, medicate or whatever, but you have to do the hard work. And we have to hold our boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
You have to. Otherwise, you're enabling them.
Yes.
And it's most people don't want to do it, but you have to let people hit bottom. You really do.
You do.
Because the more you catch them, you know, the more they're going to keep doing it, because they just get this sense of security, right? Where
like, she got me. I don't got to
yeah, like I'm never going to get, like, they're never going to get in a place where I'm never going to wind up homeless.
Yeah.
I'm never going to wind up in the streets. I'm never going to have to steal from anybody.
Until it happens.
Until that happens, right. Until you cut them off, right?
Exactly.
And as kids, as your parent, like, you cut them off financially. Tell them they're not going to be living with you if they continue to use. And if you follow through with all of those things, you know, that's when you start to apply enough pressure where you might be able to get them to clean up.
100%.
You know?
Yeah. That boundary, it really is like very like, what's the word? I'm not getting the word, but it's one of the most important things when it comes to recovery.
Yeah.
Boundaries, setting boundaries for sure.
Oh, for sure. Are you saying as somebody who knows someone using, like as a parent for their children?
Yes.
Or friend? Right.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. It's, you know, it's tough. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to stop. And there's a lot of things that, like I said, keep you in it. but you have to be willing to take the first step. You know,
Yes.
you have to be willing to admit that you're using. Chances are, you think people don't know, everybody knows. Short of them just completely being naive and have never seen drug users before,
Yeah. But
they
we
all
know.
Yeah,
We know.
everybody knows.
Yes.
Because like I said, no matter how functioning you are, your behavior is different, your demeanor is different. Things about you that people see every day, they notice changes in that behavior.
Yes. And you may think that you're acting like normal, like literally physically acting normal, but you're not.
You're not.
You're doing your shakes, you're kind of moving around out of your skin or whatever. Like it's very noticeable for sure. Some people. Yes.
Absolutely.
With the boundary though, you also have to have like a lot of empathy because you can't just be like, no, I'm not doing this for you.
Right.
You have to be like, no, this is not the best option for you. You know, you kind of have to be, I don't want to say sweet, but you have to be fair, very fair, but also like be kind of like kind. Because a lot of people, they are really going through the pain, right? So you can't just be like, oh, I don't want to, I'm not giving this to you because you have addiction or whatever. No, you have to kind of be like, hey, this is what it is. We're not going to do this, but I'm here for you.
Right.
You can't get that pain medication, but let's do some breathing.
Right.
You know, let's do some meditation.
Yeah.
Let's do something else. Let's, like, for the caregiver, I should say, or like the nurse or the therapist, you have to have empathy, not sympathy, empathy.
Right.
Because I'm not like, oh, I feel bad for you. No, but I feel with you. You know, I feel for you. Like, I'm here with you while you're going through this, but like, I'm not going to pity you.
Right.
That's the thing. Do not pity anybody because then they feel like, oh, they're less than. You're not. No,
right.
You're going through something. I'm going to empathize with you and we're going to work on this together.
Yeah, for sure. And you have to be careful with how you treat people when you're a caretaker or anybody for that matter. Because to be honest, if you're too hard on somebody or you don't empathize with them and you kind of set aside how they're feeling, what they're going through, you can push someone into using it again.
Yes, 100%.
So if people think that you just don't give a shit about them or what they're going through, it creates anxiety and it creates stress and it creates, you know, feeling like you're less of a person.
You have to hear what they're saying, not just how they're acting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of use actually comes from not being heard. Yeah. They're like, oh, you don't care about me or whatever. I'm just gonna use. Versus when you do listen to them, because it's not always what they're telling you, because you have to listen between the lines as well. You have to read between the lines of what they're telling you. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people say something, but they mean something else. And you just have to kind of know.
Well, that's what you need to know about addicts is they're not very forthcoming typically.
Exactly.
So, you know, they'll like leave breadcrumbs for you in a way.
Yes, you got to
they never just come outright and say something because they feel shame.
Yeah.
You know, and shame's a huge part of it because honestly, it's tough to face that. It's tough to feel that degree of shame and want to open yourself up to somebody.
I can completely understand
you feel
that.
the judgment, or at least you feel like you're going to feel the judgment.
I hate that there's so much of a stigma around it because it's not fair to the individual. You don't know what that person went through. I've had people where since they were children, they were abused by their parents. And I mean like sexually, you know, like I've had a person, unfortunately, like become pregnant by their father. And it's like, of course you're using. Of course you're doing drugs. You have to cope with that. I've had somebody where their partner put them into it. Yeah. You know, they thought they were in a loving, secured relationship. And the next thing you know, drugging somebody, they're drugging their partner up and then putting them out there. Yeah. It's like a lot of circumstances you have to look at because it's not just like, I'm a rich kid or whatever. I don't have anything to worry about. I'm just going to do drugs because I hate my parents. No, it's not.
No, it's not always like that.
No, it's not
more
always
times
like that.
than not, it's not like that. A lot of people start using for reasons, you know,
they
not just
trauma.
recreationally. You're right. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. There are recreational users that get hooked on things.
Yeah.
But more times than not, you know, people are doing it because they're suffering from some kind of depression, anxiety.
Yes.
They struggle in life. They don't know who they are. They don't feel like they fit in socially. I said that like they do these things because, like I said, socially, it makes them feel more comfortable. You know, their inhibitions go down. They're more open. They'll talk more. You know, they don't feel so closed off to the people around them, you know, and it's tough to not use when it gives you that much freedom.
It does.
You know,
and it takes away everything that you're going through. It takes away the pain, the mental anguish you're feeling. I get people that use because like, yeah, of course, you know.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, the other thing about addicts is also they're very resourceful. So it's kind of like, I'm sure, you know, they like to pill seek.
Yes. There's a lot of med seeking behavior. So I can only know what kind of pain you're in when you tell me. So a lot of things is subjective, right? It's not necessarily only objective where I see what's going on. So I can't really be like, oh, you're not having pain, I'm not going to give this to you. But a lot of them do kind of play on your feelings, play on pain. And they come into the nursing station or nursing office and they're like, I'm having this pain, I'm feeling nauseous, I'm doing this. Only this will make me feel better. And a lot of them, it's, although not narcotics, they kind of make you feel like you're still using your substance, right? So you kind of have to set that boundary as well, because you'll see them outside with their peers or whatever, just normal, you know, shooting the shit or whatever. And then as soon as they set 10 feet next to the nursing station, So you kind of have to be really mindful about that, because I can only take it at face value, but I also have to use my brain, you know, like
for sure. I
kind of know how things go. So by this point, you shouldn't be feeling this. But yes, everybody's different. But the things that you're specifically asking for, I have to know. I have to think, do you actually need that right now?
Right.
What did you have just before? What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve kind of lower pain, or are you trying to feel high?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's
well, they know all the tricks, right?
They do.
I mean, for sure. They know exactly what to tell you they're feeling. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, I've known guys that have literally gone into medical books and they look up the symptoms that they should be having, how they should be acting, how they should be walking, how they should be talking, the pain level that they should be at. And they get very good at coming up with a really manipulated way of getting the medication that they want.
You're so right. One medication that I never thought could be like really abused is Zofran. So we usually use it for nausea, right?
Right.
And there's side effects with it or whatever. But some of the side effects is it can kind of give you like that high feeling if you take it in high doses.
Right.
So a lot of people are suddenly nauseous. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or there's this one, the most common one is clonidine. Usually we use it to help lower blood pressure, but you feel kind of dizzy, kind of, you know, drowsy with it, right? So it kind of supplements. The medical use is like for blood pressure, but then off-label use and mental health and substance abuse is for anxiety.
Right.
So a lot of people suddenly have a lot of anxiety or whatever, which could be true, yes, but then they immediately ask for the clonidine and not anything else that could help lower that anxiety, right? And it's like, what are you trying to do? You know, because I just gave you your medication that will bring down blood pressure and anxiety. And then now you're coming back to me half an hour later, like, I need this. I'm like, you don't. You can come back in half an hour, 45 minutes to see maybe. But yeah, a lot of them go straight for the harder stuff. That's not like narcotics.
For sure. They're resourceful. I mean, I know how I was. I mean, toward the end, if I wanted to get pills, it was very easy. So it'd be like so just a quick story. So if I went into a doctor's office and I really just wanted a different medication, let's just say hypothetically for a painkiller, let's just say he gave me something that had a lot of Tylenol in it. Like, I knew for sure the next time I went in that I was going to say, oh man, you know, there's something really wrong with my stomach, kind of unsettled. And I knew immediately the next time he gave it to me, he was going to eliminate the Tylenol in it. So instead of getting Percocet, he was giving me oxycodone. Because he was doing what he could to eliminate the unsettledness
because, you know,
in my stomach.
have to treat what the patient tells you, not always what you see. Right. Because you don't know, you know how they're feeling. So we're relying on you to be truthful.
Yeah. So you find ways to be very calculated about it, you know, and you do things and you learn how to not send up flags. You know, some guys are very dramatic about it and they just set up flags left and right.
Yeah.
Because they'll also ask for the medication.
Yep.
You know, but I remember always when I was younger and using, I'd be like, oh, I know right off the bat not to ask for it. Just every symptom I have has to lead the doctor into the direction of giving it to me.
You're so funny. Oh my God. No, that's literally how it is. Cause like you can kind of see somebody's thought process as they're telling you what's wrong. Cause it's like, I know what you want, but I need to see if you're going to go there. Right. You know what I'm saying? And they usually always do. They usually always do. And it's like, okay, whatever. I don't really trip on it because because they could actually be having that pain. So I don't want to have you suffer for any reason just because of my biased thinking or whatever. Yeah. So I do try to medicate as necessary, not as what you want. If you're feeling pain, I'll go lower before I go high. Yeah,
for sure. You always start off low. But the crazy thing about it is, and unfortunately, the way that the world is today, because of the epidemic and everything else with opiates, unfortunately now they have doctors in such fear of losing their licenses that these guys don't even help the people that really need it as much as they should. So it had a really adverse effect on the people that genuinely need these medications because not only, I mean, they're unbelievably regulated now, for one. And for
There's
two,
systems to track how much like prescriptions you had and everything.
And the second thing is they've honestly made it to a point where now doctors really won't give it to you unless you basically have a limb falling off.
Basically.
You know, or you have cancer or something dramatic. Because they don't want to chance it. You know, they're too nervous about what someone's going to do with the medication, and that's fine. I get it, but to a degree, you know, you still need to treat
that need it for real.
Yeah, you need to treat patients. You know, you're a doctor. You're the only one that can give them what they need to get them through the pain that they're in. So, you know, when you start leaning on the side that everybody's drug seeking or pill seeking, you're just really not doing your job. You know, so it's like a double-edged sword today. And to be honest with you, it all started. The crazy thing is, it all started with Purdue Pharma. I mean, they're fucking. It's crazy what those people did. Well, Purdue Pharma was the real culprit behind it all. They just the way that they marketed Oxycontin and oxycodone back at that time.
Yes,
I mean it was completely illegal. I mean they were hiring the directors of the FAA and all this. I'm sorry, FDA and all of this shit to try to push things through, get certain labels on the bottles. They came up with that pain chart that you see in hospitals today. And they were giving so much kickback to doctors to prescribe these meds that, you know, they were prescribing them by thousands. I mean, by the million. I mean, the medical profession was just, it was like a pill farm, like one giant pill farm at one point. And they just completely caused an epidemic in our country.
They did.
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. It is pretty insane. It's crazy how bad it got because, like, when it started, it wasn't as bad. But then, like, 5 years on, you realize, oh, I have an issue. I have a problem and I can't get off of this. But this is what the doctor gave me. But then it's hurting me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, you don't even know what the problem with that is. Back when they first started prescribing it all, was nobody knew any better. You know, no one knew what the effect was because they were lying about it. The doctors were listening to the sales reps. The company didn't do enough testing or whatever. Yeah. No, and then they were perpetuating a lie amongst themselves, you know, because the sales reps would say that it's a non-addictive version of the medication. And the doctor, I mean, listen, you're a doctor. You shouldn't believe that to begin with, because anything that's derived from an opiate plant, you clearly know it's addicting. They don't care what somebody tells you. So, you know, to a degree, it's naivety, to a degree, it's greed. And
a lot of it was
the people that they were prescribing it to, they didn't know any better. They didn't know what it was because it was so new.
Yeah.
Next thing they know is they're taking it. Then they just forget to take it one day. Next thing they know, they're fucking throwing up in the sink. They're shitting themselves. They're sweating. Their withdrawing is crazy.
Yeah.
And then they go and take the pill and all of a sudden they're relieved. And the next thing you know, in their mind is like, oh, I'm never going to not take that again because that was miserable. And that's how you get addicted without even knowing that it's happening. And then you're stuck.
Slippery slope.
Yeah, it is. So you got to be careful. So it doesn't always happen from recreational use.
No, it doesn't. A lot of it where I'm just like, wow, is they had an injury. They were a normal person, right? And then after that back injury, whatever injury, then they started, like you said, with the pills. And then one day they didn't take it and it felt horrible. And then it just...
Yeah. That's how I found out. It was brutal.
Wow.
You know, I actually went away. I didn't go back, but I was probably through it. I probably shouldn't have stopped. But I remember getting home, just taking my meds because I had forgotten them. And I felt like 1,000 times better. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, that's what it was. That was it. The rest was history from there. But for you, it's got to be crazy. You see the transformation.
I do. Oh, my God. So my favorite part is that first 2 days where... they're coming in either completely drunk, completely high or whatever, and they act how they act on those substances, right? Some people are real lovey or whatever. Some people are real mean. And you kind of got to take it at face value. It's like, you know, that's not really them. Just kind of make sure that they're safe and you're safe, of course, and then kind of just move on through it. And then the next day when they're sobering up, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry about last night, about yesterday, about whatever. Or they're like, this is not me, I'm so sorry. And then you kind of just see the flip. It's like, oh, so this is you in substances and this is you how you are normally. And then as it goes on, especially through detox, you kind of see their worst part because, you know, they're in pain, they're suffering or whatever. And we try our best to, you know, help out with that, comfort meds and all that. And then once they kind of get to the next level, which is usually like residential or PHP, you really do see a whole new person. My favorite story is I had an older man. He came in skin and bones, right? His addiction was crazy, took everything, destroyed all relationships. And he also had underlying medical issues that obviously were not being taken care of with his drug addiction. And as the weeks went on, because he was with us for a very long time, as the weeks went on, you saw the weight gain, you saw the change in attitude, and you could see the therapy working, like going through their trauma. So that person that comes into our door is never usually the same person that walks out at all.
Right.
And that's honestly my favorite part, especially when I see them getting better. I'm just like, wow. And some places I only work 1 day a week. So every 7 days I'm seeing a new person, even though it's the same person, right? You kind of become like, I want to say, maybe because I'm a woman, like motherly, like, oh my God, my child, not really child, but my child is getting better, So it's like, it's really, it gives you a lot of hope, like a lot of hope core, like, wow, you really turned around a complete 180, especially when we kind of hold your hand a little bit. Like in the beginning with detox, you're being medicated, everything that's wrong, we are going to try to help with that. And then you got some intense therapy going on with groups, one-on-one therapy. Then with residential, we're kind of a little bit lax, not nearly as many medications because those things are only for when you're withdrawing, right? So less medications, still therapy, still groups. And then my favorite is when PHP. So at least with the companies I'm working with, PHP, they get to leave the grounds, right? So they get to be outside, going to diners, parks, activities, just all the sorts of activities. And we're kind of showing them how to survive on the outside without using what they were using, drinking or whatever. For me though, I find that alcohol is a bit like the hardest to kind of go back into the world with because it's everywhere. Alcohol is everywhere on the TV, in restaurants and everything. But we go with you to restaurants. We actually go out with you to restaurants and we kind of help you look at the menu and not focus on the liquor menu. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We try to show you that there are things out there in this world you can do without being high, without being drunk. You can go kayaking. You can do, especially here in Florida, you can go do fishing, beach, a whole bunch of stuff, a lot of nature stuff, and you can enjoy your life without relying on these substances. And like, we kind of show you the way, because we have a lot of people, especially in Florida, right? We have a lot of people coming from outside of the state.
Right.
Delray is the capital of substance abuse, right? Like detoxes and all of that. So a lot of people, they leave their middle of nowhere kind of place where all you can do is drugs.
Right.
And they find out, oh, I can go hiking. I can go to the park. I can go to the library and I can enjoy myself without actually being high or drunk or anything. Wow. So for sure, like kind of guiding them to the outside world from when they came in, they're like, oh, everything's horrible, to like when they're seeing, you know what, it's not this bad.
Right.
And then, we put them into places where like with AA, NA, sponsorships and all that, so that they're not on their own. Yeah. Because, it can be scary. You're so used to something and then you're out into this world and you're like, oh, who am I? What am I supposed to do? I don't know, whatever. We're here for you.
Yeah, for sure.
We hold your hand through most of it. Because, at the end of the day, you do have to do this on your own.
Right. Well, you're an adult, right?
Yeah, you're an adult.
You have to live.
100%. And that's like really, if you were to see somebody come in and then when they're leaving, it's that 180 is my favorite part.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
Well, you're reintroducing them into society and living without their drug of choice.
Yes.
And for people, it's hard because they need to learn how to live without it, like you said, and they need to learn to start doing things without it. Because for any user, alcoholic, drug user, using is like an event for those people.
Yeah.
They have a routine, a process, right? From how they do it, where they do it, when they do it, what they're going to eat when they do it, what they're going to watch. It's the truth.
It is.
So it's almost like a fucking sporting event, you know? And they need to learn to do that stuff with other things, and usually, and that's a good thing, they have to replace it with something else at first.
The thing with the replacing though, I'm glad you brought that up, is it can be a double-edged sword, right? You can replace it with something better, but then some other addictions pop up. Right. There's a lot of shopping addiction, maybe sex addiction, gambling. And we also help with that. Like when you're coming in, we ask you what other things you're kind of.
Sex addiction sounds all right. No, I'm just kidding.
With your partner, sure. Maybe, depending on them. But like, some things when it gets like too detrimental, it's like, oh, you kind of switch out for the drugs and now you're in debt. Right. And now you're doing this. So we helped you with that as well. But I do see that a lot, replacing one addiction for another. Yeah. That happens a lot. Hopefully it's not as bad as your last one, but yeah.
Well, that's how they rationalize it, right? Because typically people will rationalize by saying, hey, well, it could be worse. I could be doing this again.
Very true.
Right? Like
very
heroin users do it a lot. Like what they do, like typically people that shoot it, will justify going back to it by just sniffing it or smoking it, because they'll say, oh, well, at least I'm not shooting it anymore. So it's not as bad. But it's like, it is that bad because you're still using it, right?
Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean, but that's what users do. That's what drug addicts do. Like, we rationalize. It's crazy. I mean, it's hard for addicts to honestly get adapted back into society after, because it takes time and effort, and they have to want to do it. And it's very easy to give up, and it's very easy to make excuses.
A lot of it is when they leave our controlled situation.
Right.
They go back home and they're surrounded by everything they used to.
They are. Well, that's the been. We didn't talk about that, but that's a big thing. So it's people, places, and things.
Yes.
So you have to be very self-aware when you get out, and you need to make the adjustments in your life that you need to make, right? So you need to get yourself away from the people that trigger you or encourage you to do it. Really need to get out of the place where you're used to doing it.
A lot of people move here now.
Yeah, you do. People don't realize, like, I know it's hard to pack up and leave sometimes, but if you really care about your sobriety and your life, you need to get out of the environment that you were in that provoked you into using to begin with. Because 100%. If you don't, eventually you're going to find yourself with idle time one day, and you're going to fall back into it.
Yep.
And that's the other thing, idle time. You have to eliminate it out of your life.
A lot of it is boredom. They use it because they're bored.
Boredom. Well, that's it, because that's what they used to do, right? During that downtime, they would use, like I said, it's like an event, right? So it's planned out, and in that downtime throughout their day, they'll use and they'll fill at that time. Now it's like when they're sitting there and it's idle and they're not doing anything and there's nothing to do, they do get bored, and it's like, oh, I used to use it this time, and you almost miss it, right? Because you're like, you know, and it's very easy to fall back into it.
That's exactly why when they're out of the detox phase and residential phase, we bring them out into the world.
Right.
So that they know what to do with their idle time. So that they don't go right back into it.
Yeah. No, you have to eliminate it. You got to find things to replace those old habits. And without them, it's only a matter of time. You will fall back into it. And I hate to say it that way, but it's a disease, you know.
It is a disease.
Yeah, and you're always vulnerable to it.
Before I started working in rehab, I think I was just like any other person, drug addict, bad person, or whatever. Right. But then after working with that sort of population, I realized that it really is not like that. It is a disease. A lot of it is, yes, mine, but it can also be out of your control because you're medicating something else. You know, you're medicating your depression, your anxiety, your pain, you know, your trauma. Yeah. So a lot of it is like, there's a reason behind it, and you can't just go in judging people.
No.
And that's one big takeaway I've had from working in detox for the last 2 years is these are people, and they are suffering through a disease like any other illness. You know what I'm saying? And you get better, you get worse. Part of it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, it really is. It's not something that listen, more you choose to use, right? But it's the addictive side of it.
Yes.
It's, just the chemical makeup, in
it
your
literally
brain.
changes your chemical makeup, like your hormones, your chemical makeup, like everything. It changes everything. Yeah, so that's why, yes, the beginning was a choice, but towards the end or middle of it, once it gets really bad, it really is an actual disease. Yeah. Like in that you have to try to heal. Yeah,
for opiates, it rewires your brain chemistry. Yes. It takes up to a year to get out of it. So that's why the first year is the most important. And that's why, like anything, you need time, right? Because the more time you have away from it, the easier it becomes to stay away from it.
100%.
So that's why I always say, like, you have to find things to do to keep your mind off of it, because that first 12 months is really important.
Yes.
And if you can get through it, eventually you can start to live normally again. And anything you do at that point is something you're choosing to do. You know what I mean? Then it's a decision you're making. Because once you get through that first year, once that chemical dependency is gone, once your brain is back to baseline, now you're just doing it because you want to do it.
Yeah.
And at that point, and at some point you just have to tell yourself, listen,
you're done.
Enough is enough. I'm done. I did it. I got through it. Let me be done with it. Because you're also more vulnerable to, overdose when you decide to go back, and people don't realize it because your body's not used to the drug anymore.
Exactly.
And people think they can go back to using the way they used to.
Yeah, and that's
and next thing you know, like, it's just too much. So I don't know. It's a tough thing to talk about. It's a tough thing to do. So I give people a lot of credit, to people that get through it. It's a very small percentage of people that go through recovery and stick with it.
Yeah.
I think it's like 1% of people actually recover and stay with it. So the percentages are outrageous. I mean, the odds are absolutely against you.
They are.
So you need to take advantage of any and all help that you can
That's
get.
exactly why I'm so proud of people when they tell me they've been this long sober. Because I know how hard it is. I've seen it. Granted, not like gone through it, but I've seen it. And I can, I have an opinion based on what I've gone through, and I think it's valid enough.
For sure. Yeah. It's a job. People don't realize it's a job. It's an everyday job, struggle. Yeah. You're always thinking about it. Okay. It's the slightest thing can set you off, and you need to teach yourself good habits again.
Yes.
And that's not easy.
It's not.
Especially when you're a long-term user and you've been doing it for 20, 30 years. I mean, you got to think about it. That's your whole life almost.
Basically, actually.
Using has been a part of it. So you have to restructure your whole life and change everything about what you were doing. And that's the hardest thing in the world to do, especially as an adult.
Oh, yeah. So, learning new habits, breaking your old habits, that's part of the struggle. So it's not even just getting away from the drug. Sometimes it's just how you go about things.
So people don't give recovering addicts enough credit, and the judgment that gets passed on to them. If people only realized the amount of willpower that it took to do something like that, they would have a lot more respect for recovering addicts.
They should.
They really should.
It's a very hard, tremulous journey.
Yeah.
But somebody that's gone through that journey is definitely stronger on the other side of it. And a lot of credit has to be given to them because it is very hard.
Mental fortitude that you need to get through it and stick with it is above most people's, for sure. So that's why I say if addicts put half the time they do into using anything else, they'd be extremely successful.
So successful. Oh my God. I've met artists, just very intelligent people. Like I even have some pictures that I've had patients draw for me because of how great they are. And I'm just like, you're low-key a savant. Go out there.
Yeah, for
Stop
sure.
doing this. Go out there and do something for yourself.
Well, a lot of artists are drug addicts.
True.
You see it a lot in people that struggle, mentally with things. They use because and like I said, even with artistry, like to a degree, it focuses them because it just eliminates all the other concerns in their head. Right? It gives them the freedom to focus on that one thing. So while everything else might be falling apart around them, it gives them what they need to focus on their art, their art, whether it's an actor, singer, painter, whatever the case may be. So you see it a lot in artists. And did you have a different opinion of addicts prior to being an LPN and working with them?
100%. I grew up in a church from a Haitian background culture and everything. So drugs, alcohol is like, yes, we drink alcohol, but the stigma around is a little different because it's not the same.
Right.
But substance abusers and everything, that was like, oh, you're the worst of the worst. You're going to hell, or you are the worst person ever. I'm judging you. I'm better than you, whatever. But then I'm just like, after working with them, like, I am not better than you. I am one struggle away from being in the same place as you, to be completely honest. Because that's usually what happens. Like one thing happened and then they kind of, and they go deep into it. But like before I can be honest with myself and say I was very judgmental. I did not like people like that had substance abuse. I immediately, if I found out something like that, I'd be like, side eye. But then after working with that population, I realized that these are normal people that are struggling through whatever they're going through, and they just need help.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
It. And they don't deserve any of the stigma. Don't.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in the defense of the people that pass certain judgments.
Yes.
Because typically drug addicts tend to be shady people.
Yeah.
Because they need money, or they're hard. They're hard. Right. Like they're struggling, right? They have hardships. They need money. And typically when they're using, they'll do just about anything to get their fix. And that's nothing short of stealing from you, stealing from whatever they have to do to get it. So I get it to a degree. But past that,
what I had to do was start looking at the person within, not at their current actions, because I know it's not necessarily them doing it. It's their addiction kind of talking for them.
For sure.
So that's what I had to do. Stop looking at the outside person and look at the person within and kind of understand their thinking and mindset and understand their background.
Yeah.
Because once you understand the background, you have a whole new perspective of that person. Yeah. And that's what I had to do, change my perspective.
Yeah.
I like it for the better. I have good friends who are in recovery, and it's like, if I didn't work in recovery, I probably would not have been friends with these people.
Right. No, I understand that. Well, like you said, you start to sympathize and empathize with them, and you start to realize what their struggles are, and what they went through. Well, more than anything, you learn their stories, you know, what got them into using to begin with. But, and the biggest thing, for recovering addicts, that I think they really need to focus on is, you need to reach out to the people that you've hurt in your life, and you need to apologize, and you need to kind of go through that shame tour, where
they're
you
stronger than me with doing that, because I'm a person who holds grudges, and if I don't like you, if I did something wrong, I might not ever talk to you again. So I commend them for that.
I mean, it's a part of your recovery. You have to do it. You have to mend broken fences, and you need to face it. Otherwise you can't get through it. You can't lie about it, and you have to go out of your way to mend broken fences with people. Otherwise you can't truly stay in recovery. Eventually it's going to end. If you're not doing and taking all the steps you need to after, eventually you're going to relapse.
Yeah.
So being honest with yourself, being honest with other people, removing yourself from certain situations, places, hanging out with certain people.
Yes.
You need to take those things seriously, and you need to adjust them in your life.
It all affects everything.
Yeah, it does. It all affects them. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. As usual, we appreciate all your feedback, so continue to give it to us. Also, be sure to check out Sley on IG, Sley_Sley. She's got a pretty cool page, tons of interesting stuff. Be sure to check it out. And be sure to check us out on IG at notfornothing.podcast and YouTube at notfornothing podcast. Thank you, guys. It's a wrap.